Okay, for the next examples, we are going to use sine and cosine to find the value of each variable. So basically that's the missing side lengths. Now if you notice, you've got right triangles here. Up until this point, in order to figure out missing side lengths, you have used the Pythagorean theorem, you've used the 30-60-90, 45-45-90, and the tan ratio in order to figure out missing sides. So now you've got two more tools, sine and cosine. So what you want to do first is take a look at what angle you have. You have a 16-degree angle. And then you want to look at what side you have in relationship to that angle. So I have the side of 9, which is a hypotenuse. So now if I use my trig functions, I notice that hypotenuse is either in sine, and hypotenuse is also in cosine. So I could choose either to use sine or cosine. If I use sine, I'm going to solve for the opposite side, which would be x. If I use cosine, I'm going to solve for the adjacent side, which would be y. So you can use either, and you're probably going to have to use both at some point. So it's very similar to the tangent function. I'm going to take the sine of 16 degrees and set that equal, because I'm using opposite over hypotenuse, x over 9. Okay, well if you use your calculator, the sine of 16 is 0.2756. 0.2756 equals x divided by 9. If I multiply by 9 on both sides, multiplied by 9 is 2.48. Equals x. So that's this side, 2.48. Now if you want to solve for y, you've got a couple options. You have two side lengths, so you could use Pythagorean theorem, but to be honest, with decimals, Pythagorean theorem is not really that much shorter. So you could go ahead and use a different trig function. So if I use the cosine function now, I can see I'll need adjacent over hypotenuse. So I'm going to take the cosine of 16 degrees, and that would be the adjacent side, which is y, over the hypotenuse, which is 9. So if I figure out the cosine of 16, .9613. That equals y over 9. Multiply by 9 on both sides. You've got 8.65 equals y. So this side is 8.65. And then just to check, you want to make sure that your two legs are both shorter than your hypotenuse, because if they aren't, you probably did something wrong. Go ahead and try number 11 on your own, and when you are done, resume and you can check your answers. So for number 11, you should have got m is about 15.45 and n is about 47.55. You could be within half a unit because of the way you rounded. For 12 and 13, these ones are a little bit different. If you go ahead and take a look at the angle, 47-degree angle. Okay, the side that you know in relationship to 47 degrees is the adjacent side. So that tells you you either have to use the cosine function or the tangent function. Because we're trying to practice using sine and cosine, we're going to use cosine. So if I set up the cosine, that's adjacent over hypotenuse. My adjacent side is 10, and my hypotenuse is d. So if I find the cosine of 47, that is 0.682. equals 10 over d divided by d. You have to multiply by d on both sides to undo that. So 0.682d equals 10. Now I can divide by 0.682. And d is 14.67. So I am going to go fill that in up here. And now we can find C. So if I want to try to find the opposite side in relationship to the angle of 47, I could use sine because that has opposite, or tangent because that also has opposite. We're going to practice using sine. So if I use sine of 47, that's the opposite side, which is C, over the hypotenuse. And notice we just solved for the hypotenuse, so you're going to need to use that 14.67. So sine of 47 is 0.7312. Equals C divided by 14.67. If I multiply by 14.67, you get about 10.73. For side C. That is right here, 10.73. And you might as well go ahead and check the two legs are still smaller than the hypotenuse. Go ahead and try number 13. Push pause, and when you're done, you can continue to play to reveal your answer. Number 13, you should have found that A was about 13.29 and B was about 30.9. We're actually going to skip the last example, and you are going to go ahead and do your assignment, day 12, page 498. You have quite a bit of work to do. Use your work time wisely. Remember, just because I am not here does not mean that you are taking it easy. Please get your work done, and I will catch up with you at the end of the week.